Dell Technologies semi-annual sale has arrived, BA fam, and it's time to upgrade to the latest business technology. Save big on laptops and desktops with Windows 11 Pro, plus get amazing deals on servers, storage, and cloud solutions, as well as top work accessories, including docks, monitors, and more. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL for special business offers during our semi-annual sale.
It's time for the B-A-Q-A. The B-A-Q-A. What you say? The B-A-Q-A with Mandi. The B-A-Q-A with Tiffany. The B-A-Q-A. It is Brown Ambition. Question and answers. You have questions. We have some answers. Although we are not your attorney, we are not your financial advisor, but we are two really smart brown girls that know a thing or two about business, career, and personal finance. So let your questions come on in. But we're excited, right, Mandi? This time we're having a little different twist. What we going to do this week?
You're putting me in the hot seat. Oh, excited / nervous. So we decided, because Tiff and I are, well, you're at a point where you are raising your rates, as you should be, and on this whole new level playing, this whole new playing field as a badass business owner, as an expert, as a source, all those things, as a speaker, and have lots of questions about how to go about negotiating rate increases and having those awkward conversations. And your girl is a negotiating queen, and I love it. So I can't wait to hear your questions. So today's show is going to be Tiffany grilling me with her all of her negotiating questions from the Budgetnista. And then next week, I'm excited because as I am building my business, Mandi Money, and I'm about to relaunch Mandi Moneymakers and all these exciting things, I am going to take my questions to Tiffany about how to approach this online business empire that I hope to build. And y'all get to sit and hopefully you'll learn from us answering each other. So this is going to be a little bit different, a little bit juicy.
Yes.
Before we get started, should we mention our exciting news for them as well?
Yes, because it's not just going to be me and Mandi hot seating each other. You guys are going to get a chance to enter into the studios and hot seat us. So that's just going to look like literally one of y'all, multiple BA fam listeners, you're coming into the studio, not at the same time, but coming into the virtual studio and then peppering us with career, business, and personal finance questions as well. So, we're going to mix that in with our normal BAQA, our template that we normally do, but we just wanted to change it up and get a chance to hear from you guys. And if you're wanting, Mandy's going to share, if you want to be on podcast with us, this is what you can do. Like I said, you don't have to physically be here. You're just going to join us digitally online. Here's what you do if you like to be in the studio and ask your questions.
Yeah, so instructions are as follows. To be considered to be a guest for the BA Q&A episode of Brown Ambition, go to Instagram, make sure you're following us so that your message will end up in our inbox that we actually see, and send us a voice message with your question. We want to hear your voice, hear your question. Tell us a little bit about yourself, why you want to be on the BA Q&A, and what types of questions you may have. We're not looking for just one question. You may have multiple questions. We actually want to hang out with you on the BA Q&A and see all the different questions. Maybe it's a little bit career, maybe a little bit finance, a little bit investing. We're so excited. So head to Brown Ambition Podcast on IG, slide into our DMs with a voice note. This is important, not just a written answer, but the voice message is important. If you don't know how, Google is your friend. You'll figure it out if you love us, okay? And then our producer will be in touch if you get an opportunity to be on the show. So, don't be crazy, okay? Just be normal and be yourselves. And we're excited.
Yes. So this came about this kind of Q&A that I'm doing with Mandi came about because so you guys know already that Mandi is this master negotiator, and she's been helping women, make more and ask for more. And most recently, she came out with this scripts product, which I was like, wait a minute, I need it, because I struggle with negotiating. And so it's 19 scripts, right, to help you. What is it, 19 scripts to help you?
19 word for word scripts to help you negotiate without leaving money on the table. So what to say when you are submitting a counter offer. I have a literal template counter offer letter, but I also have mini scripts for what to say if you're on the phone and your recruiter is like, "Oh, but you said that this, salary was fine when we first talked." Or, I don't know about salaries being negotiable. What about equity? Like those types of conversations that happen. And this guide came about after over a year of talking to hundreds of women across the country, doing the one-on-one coaching, doing my virtual coaching program, Mandi Moneymakers, and understanding that one of the biggest reasons women are not negotiating, women of color especially, is that we just don't know what to say, and it's
Yes.
awkward enough. Like, even if you do know it's important to negotiate, you get stuck on like, so now who's going to tell me what to say? So I have solved that issue for you guys. And already am hearing that one of the women who downloaded the guides earned an additional $3,000
That's what
on
I'm
a
talking
recent job
about.
offer.
It's
So
so,
Tiff,
if you want to get
step
that,
into my
go.
office.
But if you want to get it, it's mandyscripts.com, right?
Oh, thank you. MandyMoneyScripts.com.
Okay.
Mandy
Mandy with
Money
an
with an
I.
I. Mandy Money. Tiffany's always like, sell the girl. Where's the link at? MandyMoneyScripts.com to pick up your copy. You can also go to
Yes.
mandymoney.com/shop. It's out there, but
So I
go
wanted
get
to
it.
I wanted to kind of give you that like preface because I want you to understand how this came about. Because when Mandy was sharing that during our last episode, I was like, hold up, wait a minute. Let me get some time in it because so now that so normally typically what I do, Mandy. So now like, y'all just gonna have to listen in because I got some real questions. Right. So
Yeah.
so typically every year what I do, Mandy, is that I raise my rates just off GP. I call it just the GP raise, general principle, because I'm like, it's a new year, child. Inflation is out here inflating. You gonna have to pay more. Yesterday's price ain't today's price. But then there are moments when something happens that, it feels like it makes sense to raise the rates because I'm quote unquote more visibly valuable. And so with my new Netflix documentary, Get Smart with Money, it has just really transformed the way, I think it really just elevated the brand to another level, the Budgetnista. And so I'm struggling with, because I'm already not inexpensive, and I'm just like, well, one, how do I, because I'm not going to lie, usually when I raise my rates, Mandy, there's no rhyme or reason. I just be like, that sounds cute.
Yeah.
Right. So first question I have is, how do I really figure out what makes sense? Like how much more I should be charging based upon like, what are my metrics I should be looking at that you suggest? Hey, BA fam. Did you know a fire department responds to a fire every 26 seconds? Yes. October is Fire Prevention Month, which is right around the corner. So it's never too early to start preparing. And we've teamed up with First Alert, the most trusted brand in fire safety, to help protect your whole home with safety you can trust. Along with alarms, fire extinguishers are essential. I have them. Make sure to replace fire extinguishers on every level. Make sure to place fire extinguishers on every level and in common places like the kitchen, and know how to use them. For more information on fire safety products, fire tips, and educational activities you can do at home with your family, visit firstalert.com/fire prevention month. Hey, BA fam. Now a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. So a few years ago, I was really struggling in business. I mean, I'd been struggling for like a couple of years. I was so overwhelmed, and I knew I needed help. And so it took me forever to figure out how to find a therapist, where to look, who to ask for. And so that's why I love that we are sponsored by BetterHelp, right? With the good sometimes comes really just the overwhelm. So with growth and with change and all the things that have been happening in business and in life, I really leaned into therapy, and it's made all the difference. If you're thinking about getting therapy, try BetterHelp. It's a great option. It's convenient, accessible, affordable, and entirely online. You're going to get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey, and you can switch therapists at any time. And our Brown Ambition listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Brown Ambition. That's betterhelp.com/Brown Ambition. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Brown Ambition.
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, and this goes for anyone who's negotiating and trying to increase your your perception of your value, because sometimes it doesn't feel like you yourself have changed so much. You've always been doing this, right? Like
Yes.
your skill set have grows probably incrementally all the time, but you know what you know, and you do what you do, and you've been doing it for a long time. You're very good at it. So what helps is when I flip it and I'm like, so how much more valuable is your time today than it was, a year ago? That's really what it comes
Ooh,
to
that's good.
when right now with this documentary coming out, and of course with the book selling so well and everything else that you have going on, you have more and more opportunities coming your way, and your time is still limited. So I mean, that's
Yes.
just simple economics. Limited supply of time, more demand for that time means that
Yeah.
your time is valued much, much more.
Yes.
As far as what to aim for, so I think that one of the things we talked about, I don't know how specific you're going to get with numbers when we have all of our BA fam listening.
No, I don't mind.
But we
Here, you know me. So if I'm being
yeah.
candid right now, my keynote is $50,000. And that does not include travel. It does not include accommodations or anything like that. And if you're wanting me to because sometimes the keynote also involves me staying because there's also a travel day where if I'm staying there for the 24 hours or 48 hours, it's $14,000 per travel day. So honestly, to do a whole event, it could be upwards of 71,000. But just a raw keynote is 50. And my financial advisor, Anjali, I was just sharing with her oh, I'm at 50 and I think I'm going to push it to 65, maybe 70. And she was or 100. And I'm like, yeah, well, that seems like a lot. She said, because Anjali works with high net worth individuals, and she said a handful of them also speak or whatever. They don't do what I do particularly, but do their own speaking or whatever. And she said, and almost all of them are at 100,000 or more. And you know the difference between them and you, Tiffany? And I was like, no. She was they're white and they're male.
I was
and
afraid you were going to say that.
and they accomplish less than you have. And
Yeah.
I was like, say what now? She said, Tiffany, not one of them is a New York Times bestseller. Not one of them has a thing on Netflix. Not one of them has gotten a law passed. Not one of them has been on the cover of Money Magazine. Not one. She was listing all of the things that I've accomplished, and she was just and yet you're charging half. She's like, do I think that they're overcharging? No. Do I think that you're under? Absolutely. And so I was it just seemed like so much. I'm trying to break out. I'm I know this sounds crazy because you might be listening what, Tiffany, the hell? You've been 15 years in the game. But it just seems so what if someone, because this has happened, I will say I know that 50 is too low because this year alone, about 6 or so companies have paid 50 as if it was pocket change. They were yeah, sure. And I was but
Yes.
there was one company in particular that gave me a little bit of pushback about the pricing being a little high. And so I guess I'm afraid if I push it to that 100, what do I do? Because I'm always fumbling when people push back. So what do you say when someone's that seems high? What is that script?
Well, that's when the fun began. That's when the fun begins. So the first thing that you said, well, there's a couple of things. One, you did the best thing possible when it comes to understanding your value is talking to other people at that level or a source of information that will give you a sense of what other people in your field. Because it's kind of like trying to price a house, right? Right now, you're in a hot neighborhood. The budget needs to mansion. A Starbucks just opened up. There's a Trader Joe's down the street. It seems like you're on the up and up. You know what I mean? They just built a nice lush park in the backyard. Maybe you just added an addition to the house. I don't know. Your house, your value has gone up because of the upgrades, right? So think of it that way as well. But at the same time, it's very subjective. It's what will other people pay for this? And you look at the comps, right? So you talking to Anjali and finding out what those other people in her network are earning, that's you looking at comparable homes in the neighborhood and seeing what they're selling for. That's just savvy, right? That's just smart. That's the first smart tactic, and the first thing I'll point out. The second thing is when it comes to the fact that those six companies were 50K, yeah, sure. Here's the information. Here's the contract. Sign it. That's when you are, sharing your numbers in a negotiation, and there's no counter. It's just okay. That should tell you that you're coming in too low. So and I know that this seems counterintuitive because our tendency is to want to avoid friction, right? We want to say what we want and have them be sure. And then, hey, no awkwardness, just all fine. But when you get to the point where they're pushing back, that to me is a good indication. It feels uncomfortable because you're like, oh
Okay.
shit, now I have to say something back. But this is a great indication that you're getting close, like you're getting in that ballpark, that you're coming in at a level where maybe it's not so easy for them to just say, oh, yeah, that's within my budget. They may need to take a couple of additional steps to get approval for the rate that you're offering them, and that's
Okay.
fine. So at this point, if they say, it depends on if they're saying, absolutely not, our budget is firm, etc. But if all they say is, that's a bit higher than we were anticipating,
Yes.
and then what's the question after that? Is it like, that's a bit higher than we anticipated? Is it negotiable? You
Yes.
know?
Yes, that is the question after that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then at that point, I think it's important to be firm. And here's why. In your case, you have a lot of opportunities coming to you. You can afford for one of those opportunities to be out of your, to be out, for you to be out of their budget and for them to say no. And this is what I have said to many clients, which is that when you say no and you create a boundary there and you're willing to walk away, you have the most leverage in a negotiation. And it's important that the person hears no, because the person you're talking to, you're someone who's probably speaking to people on the marketing side of a
Yeah.
company. So they have a certain amount of a marketing budget that they can spend on an annual basis. And commonly those budgets are decided, Q4 for the following year. So they may be coming to you like in June or July, but their budget's already been approved for the whole of 2022.
Yep.
And yeah, and maybe if they said yes to your 100K, that's 50K less that they have to do the other things that they were
Okay.
planning to do. You know what I mean? But it's about planting that seed in their mind that Tiffany's price is much higher than we can afford. Because I promise you, when they go into their Q4 planning for the following year, they're going to have to put together their proposal for their
Yeah.
budget and they're going to up it because they're like, if we really want Tiffany to come back for this event next year or to come for this event next year, her price is not 50K anymore, it's 100K.
Yeah.
So if they really want you, that's when they'll put in that request for more.
I
And I
love
know that
that.
that means walking away from 50K. That's not nothing. It's still a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
But if you can afford to do that
I
because your
can.
time is more valuable and you are getting paid commensurate with that value, right?
You're right. You know what? And that actually like is super super helpful because here's what I would notice, and it explains what I call the gap, right? So what I noticed is every time I would raise my rates, there would be a gap in earnings because there were companies scrambling to one. It was like the people who couldn't afford me for real, had to fall off, and the people that might be able to afford me had to almost like readjust their budget to your point, maybe it's 6 months or a year from now. And then, so there'd be like a gap. And then all of a sudden I'm making my money,
Yep.
what I've asked for. And so that makes sense that you're right. Cause sometimes I think we forget that, companies, cause I know we do, we set apart we do our budget the year before. So if something is way out of budget, unless you're like this huge corporation where 50,000 is nothing, if something is way out of budget, then you might be like, I have to see you the next go round. But if I
Yeah.
don't set my number in a way that respects my time, then they won't respect my time. It'll
Oh,
be like, well,
thousand
what's wrong with
percent.
Tiffany? Like because everybody else out here charging dot 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 dot. No, that was really helpful because that is something you wouldn't think that I would struggle with that, but the truth is, I don't have. And this is not me tooting my own horn. There are not too many people in the space that I'm in making that I know. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, unfortunately, even with some of my mentors, they haven't reached this level of earning as far as like keynotes and things yet,
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a ton of people to reach out to. And honestly, everyone's not, and rightfully so, everybody can have their own business. I just like to be talking about money. But, everyone doesn't also want to share necessarily,
Yeah.
and so it's just like to ask the questions like, well, how much are you making? I don't even know what's normal. I don't know what a
You
lot
need
is.
to, we got to find those rooms. That's the thing. Like, you need to
Yes.
be in a different room in the house now. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I think it's really important to also understand, like, of course, there's peer to peer networking, but we all should have people who are like levels above where we are
Yes.
now to help us understand. So I'm thinking, like, and of course, I don't think in your case it has to be someone who's talking about personal finance,
Yeah.
or business or whatever it is that you're getting tapped to do keynotes for. But who are the most, the most common keynotes who are being
Yeah.
tapped by, major corporations and maybe even asking
Yeah.
your clients, hey, so could you just Share with me who are the more recent people that you guys have hired, or anyone that you know who tends to get hired by companies, and connecting with them. Even
Right.
like they should be honored to be reached out to you.
Uh-huh.
Reached out by you,
But I was just thinking to myself,
right?
my girl Lovey, she speaks at a lot of corporations. I'm like, what? I'm gonna reach out and be
You
like,
haven't
hey,
asked Lovey what she
Lovey.
making?
Yeah, I don't. We talked about it maybe some years back, but you're right, I not. I mean, we talk, like regularly, but I
Yeah.
haven't actually. I didn't think about that because she, you know, does amazing work with corporations, and you're right. I can just be like, hey, what are you making? And she's in those rooms where she knows like the top paid. To be like, well, girl, I'm making this, but honestly, from what I see, you need to be making this. I am, I'm gonna put that. Let me put. I literally have a notebook. If you're not taking notes, rewind and
Yeah.
start again. So I'm gonna put on
And
my
I know that
notebook
these
like,
are like levels that are not super relatable to everyone, but the core message is who
yes,
can you reach to, who is
yes,
in rooms that maybe you don't have access to or is aware.
yes,
And maybe it's Lovey, or maybe it's a colleague that you used to work with.
yeah,
I had a great mentor. You guys know, we both know Nick from Magnify Money.
yes.
My favorite white ally, Nick, who had a serious impact on me and my negotiating style, because he had come from the big bank industry. He worked for like places like Barclays and these big credit card companies before he and I met. And he used to make it seem so casual, like, oh, that's a lot. That's not that much. When I would be handling negotiations with people that I was hiring. Well,
Yeah.
let's just give her a couple extra thousand. Let's just give her. Why are we fighting over $10,000 like it's a lot of money? Like he would say those types of things,
Wow.
and I'd be like, oh, okay. And that
Yes.
helped me normalize. And so the more you can sort of invite voices in that will help you think a little bit bigger, and it's not meant to always be comfortable. Like it'll take some
Yes.
time before it gets comfortable. That's why Anjali is like, yeah, this guy makes that, because she's seeing it time and time
Yes.
again.
Time
You
and time
know,
again. She was like, girl.
normalized
'Cause I
for
was
her.
like, I'm not, I was over here like, I'm just making a little 50. She was like, I know you think that's a big deal. It's not. I was like, wait, what? She humbled me real quick. Like, oh, that's
Yeah.
cute. Yeah, you're under by like half. I was like, wait.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's great. So I feel like the biggest takeaways for me, I'm saying this for myself, but also y'all listening, are one, consider how much more valuable my time is. That was a huge takeaway for me. Two, understand to really understand like my monetary value as far as my time. Reach out to a reputable source if I don't have direct access, like somebody like an Anjali who's seeing a ton of these people, or directly to my friend Lovey who does this all the time. Three, look at comps. Like who else is in this industry that's comparable, and in reaching out to them honestly and being honest and being like, do you mind sharing what you're making? And something else I took away, that if you get no counter, this is just across the board. If you get no counter, that means you're coming in too low. There should be some
Oh, hell yeah.
resistance. Something else that I took away too was that pushback means my numbers are close. So it's okay to get pushback. Sometimes there's pushback is honestly that's totally out of our budget. It's like a little small school and that we don't have it. Boom. Okay. But then if it's like, is there any wiggle room
Wiggle
here? It
room.
means yes, that wiggle room, or is it negotiable, means that there's some money there and they're just trying to tap into it. What else I took away is to be firm. And yeah, no, this was so helpful. I know that typically, y'all know Mandi as like the career coach when it comes to negotiating. But what I've learned is that negotiating is negotiating is negotiating. And it's a skill set that I am still practicing. Despite all that I've done thus far, it's not something that comes supernatural to me. So one of the things, I was just listening to a podcast interview with Issa Rae, formerly of Insecure, and now she's got Rap Shit. That's her new HBO show. So she said something years ago. We all know she's hilarious. She was like, "Man, everybody want to network vertically, upward." She was like, "Beyonce's busy, bitch." Like everybody want to like. And she was like, "How about you network horizontally?" She's like, some dope people that you went to school with, that you connect with, that you would like, they know things too. And I hope that a major takeaway is that this is horizontal networking. Like it's obviously, it's definitely great.
Thank you for saying that I am horizontal to you.
Yeah, no, but it is because we're friends, and like
Just a steep drop off.
because here's the thing that I call it situationally important, right? So like if I'm on a plane and I'm having a heart attack, and former President Barack Obama's on the plane, and a doctor from Irvington, New Jersey's on the plane. As much as I love the former president, I don't give a what. Bring me that doctor from Irvington. I don't care if he was a veterinarian. Bring me the veterinarian, because he's closer to the type of help I need in that moment in time, and that nobody is important over all things at all times. Like when you came home, I know Rio was like, "Mommy," literally, you could be standing next to Michelle Obama. He's like, "Who that lady?" Mommy's here, because in that situation, you are most important. And so it's the same thing with like knowledge and access to it, that like, yes, certainly I have been in business for a long time, but I don't know all the things. This is literally like one of your like the thing that you specialize in. And so I don't specialize in this. And so you are the doctor on the plane, when it comes to this conversation.
I love that
you know
analogy.
What I mean? You know what I mean, preschool teacher. I'll be coming up with these analogies and things. No, but this was honestly,
It's
this
like
was
you
really
know how to
helpful.
teach or something.
But honestly, my biggest thing, I'm actually going to put this on a sticky. How much more valuable is my time? When I tell you, maybe that hit me in the gut. Like, you know what, Tiffany, your time is even more valuable now, because I'm getting pitched all the time. Bigger and bigger things are coming. I'm like, Tiffany, your time is more valuable. You can charge $100K because your time is more valuable. It's, sometimes it's hard to make the connection of like, well, why should I be charging more? This is why. I'm going to put it on a sticky and put it in my, in a place where I can see it. Like, Tiffany, this is why you charge more, because your time is way more valuable, because you've expanded the value that you bring to the table. And so, like, this was so good, Mandra.
Yes.
It's like you know how to do this. Like, you do this for a living or something.
And yes, I do. And you also had some responses that I hear all the time. Like I can count like just dozens of times I have been talking to someone during a coaching call, and they're like, "Oh, I do know this one person." They write their name down, and I'm like, "Yes." It's like we do have people in our network. We feel powerless, but once you talk it through with someone, you can start to see it's about who can you connect with, and those connections, baby, like that is the powerful stuff. At FinCon last week, I had a 3-minute conversation in the hallway with someone who was blown away. He has way more followers than me, like 1 million times more on TikTok, and was blown away by what I had negotiated for a speaking engagement. And I was like, but you know what? That felt good because I had nothing to compare myself to. I'm just out here. Like, and we need to be talking about these things, and understanding. And it's about getting over that little hump of the awkwardness and the discomfort. And what I like to say is like, it's always going to be a little bit awkward. You just got to like push through. And that's why I love the scripts, right? So I talked to you about like having your assistant Rose, and you just like write down like, here is some boilerplate responses we're going to send, so that there's never like that hemming and hawing over what to say. And then you have something to start from. But thanks for the question.
No, that's good. So I'm going to give myself some homework. My homework is I'm going to update my rate sheet. That is my homework. Any other homework you want to give me?
Yeah. So this is one thing I didn't get to say. Okay. Go ahead and let your past clients know, because even if they haven't reached out to you right now, we talked about them planning their budgets for the next year, right?
Ooh,
so go ahead and let them know.
Girl.
Yeah, go ahead and let them know. It's like sending a little like, hey, hi, like a little Christmas card in September. Here's what we've been up to. Here are the rates. Hope everyone's well. Best wishes.
So honestly, that is so, Mandy, this is honestly, I'm like giggling because you're right. Because the year's not up yet. And if they're going to get their money together, get it together now. Ooh, okay. So I'm going to, okay.
The big ideas for next year are happening now.
Yes.
Especially for the types of talks that you're getting, there's, and maybe even like now, but the year after that now. So definitely the ones that you really enjoy doing that, you want to do again, reach out to them. The other thing is, understanding like if you have to just say no period to something, that's okay. And that you may hear from them again. I got offered a panel. I got a LinkedIn request from someone wanting me to speak on a panel. It's not that far from me. They wanted to pay me $50. It's just down. It's not that far. And the honorarium was $50. And it's one of those nonprofits. And I thought about it. And even I had to be like, no, just say no, Mandy. Why are you struggling? And so I sent the message and I was like, honestly, no, here's my minimum. And the response back was, thank you for letting me know. I'm currently pushing for a bigger budget and I will pass this along. That's why it's powerful. Yes. I could have done it for $50 because at the end of the day, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Yeah, whatever. But I think it's so much more powerful for the next people behind me too, to let them know that this ain't it. Like,
Yes.
my time
And
is
also,
much
I
more
feel like
valuable
if
than
I'm
that.
gonna do either, if I'm gonna work for damn near for free, I'll do it for free. Meaning, like, if I'm just
That's what I
volunteering,
felt. I'm like, just say
yes,
nothing.
yes,
50 is insulting.
yeah, because it's true. I tell myself that all the time. I'm like, Tiffany, if you're gonna do it for free, do it for free, for real. Just because you're like,
Yeah.
like the Girl Scout troops. I've helped my friends, Girl Scout troop, get their financial literacy badges. Obviously, I'm not looking for her to pay me, but it's free. This like kind of sort. It's like no, it's
Mm-hmm.
either free or it's not, which, I know a lot of people who don't do anything for free, which that's your business, as Auntie Tab would say. But, I
Yeah.
don't mind volunteering time for like homeless shelters, especially women's shelters or Girl Scout troops. Those things are fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like this kind of like, well, I know you said 50, but we have 1,000. It's like, in other words, you don't have, it's free. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
In other words,
So
just
I love
negative
this. So my
money with
homework.
tolls and yes.
So just
Ooh,
to
I have one
reiterate,
more.
my
I have one
homework.
more nugget. One more
Okay,
nugget.
go
One more
ahead, go
nugget.
ahead.
One more nugget.
Yes, yes,
Here's
yes,
another way
please.
you can sort of reverse engineer your rate because I know you don't work every
Okay.
day. Like, and you're a
Yeah.
big reason why I love a calendar block and not working on Fridays and random days. So the number of days you can actually work in a year is very limited because you have
Okay.
other things that you value. You value your
Yes.
family and traveling and doing things for free, right? So
Yes.
getting to give back to your community, I know is really important to you. So if you reverse engineer, your goal income for your business, for the Budgetnista for the year, and then how many days, hours you actually have to get there, then that can kind of give you a sense of per event, or if I'm going to do 10 keynotes to get me to this goal that I have for my keynote revenue, how much should I be charging for each one? So if your goal is $1 million of keynotes and timing wise, with the amount of time it takes to put into presenting a keynote, with the travel days and the recovery time, because if you're like me, you need a long recovery after a big presentation. Like, how many of those can you really do in a year? And then maybe it's 10, 15 keynotes, and then kind of go backward from there to figure out how much one of those could be worth to you.
Okay.
As
I
well
like
as sort
that.
of going out there. It's a combination of all these things, that as well as going out and getting the comps, to kind of get to a number that feels right. It's valuing your time and it's valuing you compared to your peers.
Okay, love that. I'm just writing it down. So I'm just
God, I
writing
love
down
this shit.
my homework is update my rate sheet, let past clients know, and then reverse engineer. I like that, to be like, if I want to get to $1 million of speaking, based upon like, I'm going on vacation 4 times. I don't work Fridays, I don't work Wednesdays, and I really don't work weekends unless I'm traveling or whatever. So like it leaves me with a limited number of time. So it's like, if that's the number, what do I have to make per speaking? I like that. This is good or whatever. If you guys like this format, like I said, we said earlier that, so next week Mandy will be asking me questions. She had no idea what question. I mean, I told her in general it's negotiating questions, but she
I
didn't
really
know.
had no idea. I was nervous.
I mean, like I said, this is honestly, what's so great is that this is how like Mandy and I chat anyway. Like we'll just be like, and then, so what should I do about that one? And so I hope that the takeaway from here is, one, how to negotiate across the board, whether it's business, whether it's at your job, whatever that looks like there's just some basic tips here. Two, I hope a big takeaway is that networking horizontally is so helpful, because like there are people in your life that's the doctor on the plane for that particular subject matter. And, no one is a doctor, the most important person in every single room. That just doesn't happen. But certainly when there's somebody who knows some way more than you about particular topics, and lean into them, and then be a resource for the places that you know more. And then three, like, here's the thing, nothing works unless you work, So literally, I'm going to do my homework. Like the number one thing I'm going to do the first 2 right away. I'm going to update my rate sheet today, and I'm going to let my agent know, hey, let these clients know these are the new numbers. And then I'm going to work on this week, reverse engineering, but taking action quickly. I like simple and soon. So those 2 things I can do instantly. As soon as we jump off, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to buy my scripts, because I tried to buy it last week, but Mandy was not ready, but she's ready now. I'm going to buy my scripts.
MandyMoneyScripts.com.
With an
We'll
I.
put a link
Mandy
in the
with
show
I.
notes for y'all. Mandy with an
Yeah.
I.
And so
It all evens out
yeah.
because I bought your book and Molly Moore again the other night.
no. We just
I
exchanged
couldn't
it
help
at this point. No, this is great. So if you are, first of all, we'd love to hear. Like, did you, tweet us? We're Brown Ambition, the BA podcast.
Sorry.
Mandy.
Bad Bunny is playing on my phone.
I'm the Budgetnista. Mandy is Amanda. You Mandy Money on Twitter too?
No, because they won't let me change it. I'm Mandy Woodruff on Twitter.
Okay. So
Yes.
tweet us if you like BAQA. Mandy's going to be asking me questions next week. I won't know what they are. I'll just be popping on. And then if you want to come on and you want to put us in the hot seat and you want to be live on camera and studio with us, like, from wherever you live, we would love that. Go to our IG. We are Brown Ambition Podcast on Instagram. Send us a voice note with your question, with the types of questions you want to ask, and a little bit more about yourself and why you want to come on. And Imani, our producer, is going to go through them, and we'd love to have you on. So like I said, we'll do a mix of these. We'll do a mix of you guys coming on. We'll also do a mix of our normal BAQ, where we'll take your written questions. So we can keep it spicy over here. Okay.
7 years. We need to spice it up. Keep it fresh.
But this
All
is
right,
awesome.
y'all.
Honestly,
Thank
Mandy,
you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Mandy. This was so helpful.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. I can't wait to hear. Well, first of all, I feel like 100K is going to be easy. I'm just saying. I was just saying.
When I get my first
yeah,
one, I'm
I'm
going to
very
tell you.
excited,
I'll come on and I won't say who, because the people be bad when you be telling their business. But I'll be like, I did it! I'll tell you when I get my first 100K, like, I'm speaking. I mean, I've made obviously well over that, but in like other contracts, but like specifically for a keynote, when I get that, I'm going to let you know.
Awesome. And don't forget to check out Get Smart with Money, y'all. Tiffany's new Netflix documentary, which is available at netflix.com. Don't forget to tweet her. Use the hashtag Get Smart with Money to let everyone know that you are loving it. And have a
Give
good
me
rest
2
of y'all's
thumbs
week.
up. All right.
Oh, yeah. 2 thumbs up. What else? Watch the whole thing.
Yes.
Tell a friend, tell a friend.
Yes. Tweet.
All that.
Yes. Hey, BA fam. We're on YouTube. Woohoo! Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
And while you're at it, why don't you go over to that little bell icon and just tap that for us. Show the BA fam how much you love us. And that way you'll also get notifications when new videos drop. Also, share the channel with a friend. We're always like, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. And thank y'all so much again for all the support.